Welcome back to another edition of Arizona Wildcats Insiders Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Hutchison, and we are just a day away from the Wildcats kicking off their fifth game of the season, trying to get back on track against the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Arizona, in its last time out, suffered a humiliating 25-point loss on the road to Iowa State. Arizona just wasn't in that game. The Cyclones went up quick, 22-0, before Arizona can answer with some points on the board. It was all Iowa State all day. Passing game was kind of a problem for Arizona as they allowed 6 explosive passing plays to Rocco Beck, who threw for 70% of his passes in terms of completions, 243 yards. 183 yards of those came on 6 plays. Just explosive plays that just led to big-time performances for Iowa State. Very underwhelming for Arizona secondary, who I still believe is the best secondary in this conference, one of the top secondaries in the country. This is a very loaded secondary, but Iowa State and Rocco Beck had their way with the Wildcats on that day. Then offensively, it was just a disaster. Noah Fafita didn't look great, threw 2 interceptions. One of them, Seth Dagy explained what happened in terms of the drag route, not really selling his route and hesitating, leading to the interception because that would have taken the corner away. So I understand that. The second one, the man was wide open. The seam route was wide open. He threw it to the wrong shoulder. Interception, easy pick to seal the game for the Cyclones against Arizona. So, there's some accuracy issues for Noah Fafita right now. He's completing 62% of his passes. Yes, he completed 67, which brought his number up from 59 to 62, but it's still very underwhelming. The balls just don't have that zip. He's throwing behind receivers. Even on completed passes, he's not putting it in the good position, good spot, because if he puts it in the right spot, they're taking off for yak yards, and that's highly important. And right now, he's just not able to hit them in stride. So he's got to get better there. The running game, they didn't really run the ball as much given the score, but Ishmael Mahdi has been one of the better backs in the country, one of the better backs in the Big 12. His performance against Iowa State was very good. He had about 11 to 12 carries, rushed for 85 yards, didn't reach the 100-yard mark because, again, Arizona kind of had to go away from the run, but I thought he had a tremendous performance. Now, when you talk about the offensive line, it was their best PFF grade of the season. I didn't see it that way. I thought their best game of the season was Kansas State game. They were able to do a lot of good things there. But PFF has that Iowa State game as the best game of the season for the Wildcats offensive line, who I think is improving game in and game out. They're getting better. They're getting healthier, and that's a big theme there. Now, we talked about their availability report last week, and Kendrick Risino, running back Arizona, was listed as questionable and limited. And then all of a sudden he came off the report, so everybody thought he was going to play. A bunch of Arizona players came off the report and they thought they were going to play. And guess what? They didn't. That's the one down thing about this availability report. It's not an injury report like the NFL, limited, questionable, stuff like that. It's not an NFL injury report. They don't have to play them. So they could suit them up and take them on the trip. They're in helmet. They're available, but you don't play. And it's mainly due to the injury. Again, if he was healthy, Kendrick Risino would have played in that game. If Javion Cole was healthy, he would have played in that game. But these were players listed as questionable. These were players that were taken off the availability report. And that's kind of the loophole around college football, around the Big 12, because you're seeing it all over the Big 12 right now in terms of players that are listed as available, but then they don't play. I'm not sure how you police that, but that's got to get a little bit better, I feel like, moving forward in the future. But right now, in this latest availability report, Kendrick Risino isn't there. So I do expect him to get some touches. I think he's going to get some touches, maybe 8 to 12. I think that's the number for him. Ishmael Mahdi will get the bulk of the touches with Quincy Craig kind of tying Kendrick Risino there, but they got to really get that going. They can't allow it to be a 2-man backfield. No, I'm not eating. Yeah, they can't allow it to be a 2-man backfield. Apologize about that. But as you move along, one of the names that came up was Troy Spivey, the wide receiver that transferred in from Kansas State. He's been solid, had a great training camp, had a great spring, scored a touchdown against Iowa State. He's listed as questionable. Now, Arizona's receiving core, I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's great. I think it's solid. They've had issues this season. They've had 11 drop passes. 11 drop passes. That's just way too many. It doesn't matter if they're at home, on the road. You've seen drop passes, which is leading to some of the issues for Noah Fafita. It's leading to some of those issues. If you can't trust your receiver, how are you going to put the ball on the money? So they got to clean that up. Brett Brennan talked about catch to chest, finishing the catch, eyeing the ball into your chest. He feels that they're slipping up in that area and just the fundamentals and the techniques of it. I don't know. I really don't know if that's going to help long term. It should, but you got to see somebody step up in the receiving core. Troy Spivey is now listed as questionable for the game. They'll have another availability report as we get closer to kickoff, but right now he is questionable. Another one, there really wasn't any other big-time name there, so I expect Kedrick Risano to play. I expect Javion Cole to play, which is going to help out the secondary. I think that was a huge loss for the secondary going into the Iowa State game. Yes, Marquise Groves-Killebrew has been solid for Arizona, but he hasn't been as good as Javion Cole. Javion Cole's been the better corner of the two. So I think that's going to be a thing to watch there. And then, you know what? Let's see what they do in the kicking game. This is the biggest thing for Arizona right now to get over. You can talk about the offensive struggles. You can talk about how bad the defense looked against Iowa State. Right now, the biggest hurdle Arizona's facing is its special teams because it's not so special. It's been terrible. It ranks 134th out of 136 in special teams on ESPN Football Index. That's terrible. Michael Salgado Medina has missed several kicks. They've muffed a punt. That almost had another muffed punt before. They've nearly fumbled a kickoff. They've had a blocked punt and some shank punts. The special teams unit has got to improve. It's got to improve. If Arizona wants to get to a bowl game, they just got to see some improvement there. And I'm not talking about you got to be the best special teams unit in the country. That's not going to happen. But you need to be middle of the pack to be successful. And it's hard for Arizona and this coaching staff right now. You're replacing a Tyler Loop, who's the best kicker in the country last year, who's an NFL starter. You're replacing, last year they had to replace Michael Salgado Medina. He filled in the role of Cal Ossendorp. But Arizona's had good special teams over the last couple of years. And right now it's going through a transitional phase. However, I think Craig Naivar is the correct coach to get this thing going. He's very passionate. Let him get his guys in. You saw Isaac Loveson take a couple punts, average 44.5 yards per punt on 4 to 5 punts. That's what Arizona's going to need to do. You got to win the battle of field position, and the punting game is going to be a strong influence there for the Wildcats. Now, some other storylines going into the game. Oklahoma State, again, no more Mike Gundy. Mike Gundy is out. They have an interim coach who's the offense coordinator there for a long period of time. He's in. They fired their defense coordinator. That's very interesting that you would pull that move this early in the season and with a new coaching staff. Well, a new head coach. It's very interesting. He is gone. You saw their top safety transfer out of the program. This Cowboy team is reeling. This is a team that is limping. They're on their last life. This is a game Arizona needs to go in and take care of business, get that 4th win of the season. Then you're 4-1, you're going to a bowl game. I think if you go 4-1, you get the win this Saturday, it's guaranteed Arizona's going to a bowl game. But you need to win this football game, and you need to do it convincingly. I don't think you could settle for a 2017 win. It cannot be ugly. Win convincingly. So we'll have more coverage of Arizona football throughout the week as we get you closer to kickoff. We'll have our game predictions for the game. We'll also have players to watch and stuff like that, and full game coverage with our game thread, social media article, and our game recap, plus what Brett Brennan said after the game and our 3 takeaways from the night. So be sure to follow us, Arizona Wildcats on SI. Follow our Twitter account at Arizona Wildcats on SI, or me, Troy Hutchison, at THutch1995, and we'll see you next time.